Nepal, the tranquil Himalayan nation once known for its peaceful landscapes and spiritual heritage, is facing one of the most volatile moments in its modern political history. What started as youth led protests over a controversial social media ban has quickly escalated into a full blown national crisis, resulting in dozens of deaths, hundreds injured, curfews in major cities, and the deployment of the army. As chaos brews in Kathmandu and across the country, a critical question emerges: can peace be restored in Nepal? The crisis began when the government abruptly banned 26 popular social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, X, and TikTok, citing national security concerns and a need for regulatory compliance. Critics and civil rights groups, however, called it an authoritarian move to silence dissent, especially from the country's vocal and highly online youth population. The decision sparked massive protests, mostly led by Gen Z and millennial groups who flooded the streets in Kathmandu, Pokhara, Birganj, and other urban centers. The rallies, though initially peaceful, turned violent as police responded with force, tear gas, bait charges, rubber bullets, and in some areas, live ammunition. By September 11, the protests had resulted in at least 19 deaths and over 300 injuries, according to national and international media reports. Hospitals across Kathmandu and Lalitpur have been overwhelmed, with many of the wounded suffering from head injuries, bullet wounds, and trauma-related complications. The loss of life has only further enraged the public, leading to more aggressive protest, arson, and attacks on government buildings such as Singh Darbar and even the Supreme Court premises. For a country still healing from past civil conflict and the trauma of the 2015 earthquake, this surge in violence is an especially bitter setback. Facing national and international condemnation, the Nepali government has begun to roll back some decisions. The social media ban has now been lifted, and Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak has resigned in response to public outrage. The government has also announced compensation for families of the deceased, pledged to provide free medical treatment for the injured, and initiated an investigation into the causes of the violence. But alongside these concessions, there's also been an undeniable hardline approach. The army has been deployed in multiple cities. Curfews have been imposed, and there are heavy checkpoints in Kathmandu, Lalitpur, Bhaktapur, and other hot zones. This dual strategy, combining appeasement with repression, has not convinced everyone. What makes this crisis different from past uprisings in Nepal is the clarity and coherence of the protesters' demand. This is not just about social media. Nepal's young generation is demanding transparent and accountable governance, non-partisan interim leadership, a new political direction led by clean, capable individuals, protection of civil liberties, justice for victims of police violence. One of the most notable developments has been the emergence of Sushila Karki, Nepal's first female Chief Justice, as the top candidate to lead an interim government. Thousands of protesters, especially youth leaders, have rallied behind her name in online polls and protest speeches, citing her integrity, neutrality, and history of anti-corruption rulings. Other names like Kulman Ghising, a former NEA chief known for ending load shedding in Nepal, and Balen Shah, the mayor of Kathmandu, have also gained traction among different segments of the movement. The main question is, can peace be restored? The short answer is yes, but only under the right conditions. Peace will only return if the government takes visible and credible steps to rebuild trust. That includes swift, independent investigations into protest-related violence, legal accountability for those responsible, and respect for democratic rights, including freedom of speech and assembly. The government must open channels of communication with protest leaders, not just traditional political parties. Youth leaders, civil society groups, and legal advocates should have a seat at the table in any discussions about interim governance or future reforms. If there's a serious attempt to install an interim administration to restore calm and prepare for fresh elections, it must be free of political baggage. The public has little appetite for recycled faces from the past. Whether it's Sushila Karki or another figure, legitimacy will depend on neutrality, competence, and public support. Security forces must act with restraint and accountability. Peace cannot be restored through excessive force. Restoring orders does not mean intimidating or criminalizing dissent. Countries like India, China, and members of the international community can support Nepal through diplomatic encouragement, humanitarian aid, and facilitating dialogue, but must avoid overt interference. Nepalis are fiercely protective of their sovereignty, and foreign meddling will only inflame tensions. Ironically, this crisis also presents an opportunity. It has revealed the depth of discontent in Nepal, especially among its youth, but it has also showcased a desire for peaceful reform and democratic renewal. If handled wisely, Nepal can emerge from this crisis stronger, more transparent, and more responsive to its people. The alternative, ignoring the voices of the youth, doubling down on authoritarianism, and treating dissent as sedition, will only deepen the crisis and risk long term instability. The question isn't just whether peace can be restored, it's whether Nepal's political system is willing to evolve to meet the moment. For a country that has weathered monarchy, revolution, earthquakes, and political deadlock, hope still remains. But this time, peace won't come from the top down. It must be built from the streets up, one demand, one reform, and one voice at a time.